The Galactic Council was a place of shining metal and endless voices. The council chamber floated high above a neutral world, a massive ring-shaped station wrapped in gold light. Delegates from 100 star systems sat inside. Some came with armored guards, some with scholars, and some with nothing but pride. Every race wanted to be seen. Every race wanted to be heard. At the center of the chamber, light beams showed star maps, trade routes, and fleets in motion. The meeting was meant to discuss war and peace. Yet, as often happened, the talk drifted to something else. Humans. Humans were not present at the meeting. They had not sent representatives for years. To most of the council, that absence was proof enough that humanity was weak, forgotten, and fading. A tall, scaled ambassador from the Krax Empire raised his ridged chin and said, "Let us not waste time. Humans no longer matter. Their worlds are quiet, their fleets unseen. What use are they now?" Several delegates hissed and laughed. A few slapped their tails or clacked their mandibles in amusement. An elder from the Varen collective leaned forward. Her eyes glowed with pale blue light, sharp and mocking. "And yet still their old myth spread. I hear whispers even among my own soldiers. Tales of warships the size of moons. Ships that no scanner could measure. Surely you have heard these. Foolish stories too." The chamber filled with sound. Chuckles, sharp laughter, scoffing tones. "Yes, the human legends," one delegate sneered. "They built ships that swallowed starlight, yes?" "Ridiculous. If they had such power, where are those ships now?" The laughter echoed off the high metal walls. To most of the council, the idea was entertainment. Nothing more. But not everyone laughed. A young officer stood in the corner of the chamber, not seated among the main delegates. She was there as an aide, holding a data slate and listening. Her name was Relthara, from a small species that had joined the council only 50 years ago. Her people were curious by nature, hungry for knowledge. Unlike the others, she did not laugh at the idea of human warship legends. She had read the records. She had seen fragments of old transmissions. "Why?" she asked in a steady but quiet voice. "Does the story never die?" The laughter slowed. Heads turned toward her. Relthara felt her scales warm under the attention, but she pressed on. "My honored elders," she said carefully, "if the human legends are false, why do they return again and again? Why are there so many versions? Some from smugglers, some from lost traders, some even from old council archives." A Krax delegate snorted. "Because lies spread faster than truth." Another waved a clawed hand dismissively. "Because humans are storytellers. They spin myths from nothing. They always have." The Varen elder leaned forward, her glowing eyes narrowing. "And you, young one, do you believe them?" Relthara hesitated. She knew the danger of answering wrongly. Still, she spoke. "I do not know what I believe, but I know this. Stories that refuse to die often hold a seed of truth." A murmur ran through the chamber. Some shook their heads in annoyance, others smirked. The Krax ambassador slammed his scaled fist on the table. "Enough of this nonsense. Humanity hides because it is weak. Their silence is cowardice. If they had warships, like the ones described, they would have shown them by now." More voices joined in. Agreed. Old tales for frightened hatchlings. Humans are finished. The debate ended there, with mocking tones and proud words. The meeting moved on to trade disputes and border wars. But Relthara's thought stayed on the legends. Later, when the chamber emptied and the stars beyond the great windows shone cold and bright, Relthara remained behind. She scrolled through her slate, reviewing files she had collected. Reports from miners in the asteroid belts near Sol. Strange gravitational disturbances at the edge of human space. Sensor readings that made no sense. Mass readings too large for any station, too silent for any fleet. Relthara whispered softly to herself. "Why hide, humans? What are you building in the dark?" Far from the council station, in the black reaches of the Sol system, Earth was quiet. Too quiet. Civilian traffic was almost non-existent. Official transmissions were rare. On Luna's surface, cities glowed, under domes of silver light, but no alien trader had landed there in decades. Mars, once full of bustling colonies, seemed strangely muted to outside observers. The outer colonies had all but vanished from trade networks. To the galaxy, it looked like retreat. To the galaxy, it looked like decay. But within hidden facilities carved deep into rock and ice, humanity worked in silence. Engineers in armored suits walked across endless scaffolds. Machines dug into asteroids and shaped them. Engines the size of mountains hummed quietly, tested again and again. A voice echoed in one of the vast construction bays, a human commander giving orders. No broadcast, no signals. Nothing leaves this system until we are ready. Let the galaxy laugh, let them think we are weak. The workers nodded. The silence continued. Back in the council chambers, word of Earth's silence became another joke. They are ghosts, one delegate scoffed. Perhaps they all destroyed each other, another said with a grin. Or perhaps, a third added, they are too busy writing their fairy tales about warships that blot out the stars. The chamber roared with laughter again. Relthara did not laugh. She remembered the look in the Veyrin elder's eyes. Mocking, yes, but also cautious, almost wary. Perhaps even she, deep inside, wondered. Legends of human warships had been around for centuries. They spoke of vessels named after beasts of old Earth. Leviathan, Behemoth, Colossus. Tales of ships so massive they could crush fleets with a single barrage. Some stories said they were built inside hollowed moons. Others claimed humans had mastered secret engines that bent gravity itself. No one could prove it. No one had seen it. And yet, the stories lived. As Relthara left the chamber that night, she looked once more at the stars. The galaxy believed humans were finished. The council laughed at their myths. The empires prepared to expand into soul space, sure they would meet no resistance. But Relthara felt a strange chill, as if the stars themselves were whispering a warning. Some legends were not born from lies. Some were waiting for their moment. And, in the dark beyond the council's sight, humanity's silence was not weakness. It was patience. The galaxy was always restless. Empires rose and fell, borders shifted like sand, and fleets clashed over minerals, water, or pride. For centuries, the Galactic Council had acted as a balance, keeping the peace, or at least pretending to. But some empires had grown bold. One of them was the Dominion of Xylar. The Xylari were not a new power, but they were hungry. Their ships were sharp, shaped like blades of obsidian, and their fleets were vast. They had fought smaller neighbors into submission, and now hungered for more territory. Their emperor looked toward the Sol system, the home of humanity. To the Xylari, humans were nothing but prey waiting for the kill. Inside a massive war hall aboard the Xylari flagship Iron Fang, commanders studied holographic maps. Human space glowed as a dim cluster at the edge of the galactic spiral. To most, it was a forgotten region. But to the Xylari, it was a prize. Their silence means weakness, hissed General Zyrak, his black-scaled face lit by the red glow of the maps. No ships travel from their colonies. No allies stand beside them. Their fleets are gone. Now is the time to strike. Other commanders nodded. The Emperor's voice boomed through the chamber. If humans had power, they would show it. If they had warships of legend, they would have used them already. We will not find gods there. We will find only ashes. The order was given. The invasion would begin. The news spread quickly through the council chambers across the galaxy. Some protested, but most shrugged. Why bother defending humans? They had withdrawn from galactic affairs. They were ghosts. Relthara, the young aide who had once asked about the legends, listened quietly as the council debated. The Xylari will take human worlds, one delegate said. And what then? Another asked. Then nothing. Humans will be slaves or extinct. It will not matter. The voices were calm, almost bored. To them, the fate of an entire species was little more than a topic for discussion. Relthara felt A pang of unease. She thought of the old stories, of the strange sensor readings in human space. If there was even a small chance the legends were true, what would happen when the Xylari fleet entered Sol? But she said nothing. No one would listen. The Silari Armada left its home system like a storm of fire. Hundreds of warships slid through jump lanes, their engines glowing. They were armed with plasma cannons, gravity lances, and swarms of drone fighters. The fleet was strong enough to wipe out several smaller empires. To them, human space would be easy prey. Scouts were sent ahead, sleek ships with long-range sensors. They were tasked with entering the edges of Sol and reporting back. At first, everything seemed as expected. Empty trade lanes, silent colonies, cold, drifting stations. But then, something strange. A scout ship near the edge of Neptune's orbit sent back confused reports. Unnatural mass detected, the message read. Source unclear, possible asteroid cluster but readings unstable. Gravity distortions observed. The transmission cut out suddenly. The commander of the Xylari fleet dismissed it. Probably equipment failure. Continue forward. Another scout near Pluto reported the same thing. Distortions, gravitational waves not caused by planets or moons. And then, silence. The fleet grew uneasy. Whispers moved through the lower ranks. Crews muttered about the human legends. Could it be? One dared to ask. Silence, an officer barked. Stories for children, nothing more. But the unease spread like fire. Back on the council station, rumors arrived. The council delegates laughed when they heard them. Distortions? Missing scouts? Of course. Human systems are falling apart. No doubt their space is littered with debris. Yes, their colonies must be collapsing into ruin. Another sign of weakness. The laughter returned, echoing through the chamber. Yet Relthara noticed something in the eyes of the older members. Behind the smiles, behind the mocking tones, there was a flicker of doubt. Meanwhile, the Xylari fleet pressed deeper. Neptune's orbit passed behind them. Uranus loomed ahead, its blue-green clouds swirling in silence. The humans did not respond. No warships appeared. No defenses fired. See, General Zirak roared. Nothing. They are empty. Their silence is surrender. But the uneasy whispers did not stop. The fleet reached Saturn, its golden ring stretched wide and silent. Still, no human ships appeared. The commanders relaxed. We will march straight to Earth, Zirak said. We will burn their homeworld and the galaxy will laugh with us. Then came another report, from the far edge of the system, near the Kuiper belt. Strange energy readings. Gravity shifting unnaturally, as if something massive lurked there, hidden in the dark. The officers frowned. An asteroid field? One asked. A rogue planet fragment? Another suggested. But the readings were too precise, too artificial. In the lower decks of the Iron Fang, soldiers muttered nervously. They say the humans built ships inside moons. They say one was called Leviathan. They say when it awakens, stars tremble. Officers shouted at them to be silent, but the whispers only grew. Even hardened warriors could not ignore the fear of a legend that refused to die. General Zirak snarled at the reports. Nonsense. Continue to Mars. Humans are hiding, nothing more. Yet, as the fleet advanced, the distortions grew stronger. Gravity bent in ways their sensors could not explain. The readings suggested mass far larger than any known station or moon. And it was moving. Slowly. Patiently. Still. No one had seen anything. Only numbers. Only shadows. Back on the council station, Relthara studied the incoming reports with wide eyes. The council still mocked, but she felt her heart pound, faster with each new message. What if the humans had been waiting for this moment? What if the silence was not weakness, but preparation? The Xylari fleet entered the orbit of Jupiter. The great gas giant swirled with storms as it always had. But as the fleet passed its moons, a faint pulse shook their sensors. The crews froze. What was that? Another distortion. No, this is different. It's something waking. The pulse came again. A ripple of gravity that no natural source could explain. General Zyrak tried to roar over the fear. Do not be fooled by tricks. Humans are weak. Forward. The fleet obeyed. But unease crawled through every ship. The stars themselves seemed to whisper that something was wrong. And then deep in the void, far beyond the reach of light, a shadow stirred. It was vast. It was silent. And it was waiting. The Xylari fleet had entered the inner system. Thousands of eyes watched the screens, expecting nothing more than silence and empty orbits. They believed Earth was waiting to be conquered. They believed the humans had no defenses left. But the universe had other plans. The first sign came from the edge of the Kuiper Belt. A scout ship hidden in the dark sent one last transmission before vanishing. Mass detected. Cannot calculate. It moves. It sees us. Then static. The ship was gone. General Zyrak dismissed it with a snarl. Equipment failure again. Humans are too primitive to cloak a fleet. Push forward. His words were loud, but his claws dug into the arm of his command chair. Something about the silence of the system unsettled even him. The fleet reached Mars orbit. The red planet was quiet. Its colonies dark, its shipyards abandoned. No resistance rose to meet them. See? Zyrak roared. Nothing but ruins. Earth is next. But before the fleet could move on, sensors screamed alarms. A distortion wave washed through the system, strong enough to shake every ship. Gravity itself seemed to ripple like water. Crew members shouted in panic. What was that? It came from beyond Pluto. No. It's closer now, it's moving inward. The readings showed something massive approaching. Something larger than any station, larger than any asteroid. Its shape was hidden, but the numbers were terrifying. The fleet tried to scan again, but their systems faltered. The object bent space in ways their machines could not explain. On the council station far away, the news arrived seconds later. Delegates laughed at first, but the laughter faded when the data was displayed on the chamber's central hollow. Impossible, muttered the Veyron elder, her glowing eyes narrowing. Mass that large should not move with such speed. Some still tried to joke. Perhaps humans learned how to throw planets. But their voices were thinner now, less certain. Relthera watched in silence. She felt her chest tighten. Something was coming. Back in Sol, the Xylari fleet braced. The black of space shifted. Stars disappeared, blotted out by a shadow. At first, they thought a moon had drifted into view. But then the shape moved against the stars, deliberate and slow. And the crews finally saw it. A ship. It was larger than anything they had ever imagined. Its hull stretched like a continent of black steel, bristling with weapons. Towers of metal rose like mountains across its surface. Engines the size of cities glowed faintly, silent but alive. It moved with grace no object that size should have had. The name appeared across the sensors of every ship, as if the ship itself was declaring its identity. HSS Leviathan. For a moment, silence filled the Xylari fleet. Crews stared in shock. Officers forgot to bark orders. General Zyrak himself could only whisper, It cannot be real. But it was real. The human legend had emerged before their eyes. The Leviathan drifted forward, dwarfing every Xylari ship. Even their largest battleships looked like insects beside it. Its armor gleamed with strange alloys darker than night, reflecting almost nothing. Open fire! Zyrak roared suddenly, shaking himself from his shock. It's only one ship. Destroy it. The order spread. The Xylari fleet lit up the void with plasma fire, missiles, and gravity lances. Beams of deadly light cut across the blackness, slamming into the Leviathan's hull. But nothing happened. The human ship's shields rippled, layers of energy bending and absorbing the attacks. The Leviathan did not even slow. On the council station, the battle was streamed live. Delegates leaned forward, their eyes wide. No one laughed now. Those weapons, they should tear through any ship, one whispered. Why does it not fall? Another asked. Relthara whispered the answer no one wanted to say aloud. Because the legends were true. The Leviathan moved closer. Its weapons came to life, glowing across its surface. Cannons the size of towers rotated into position. Long railguns stretched for miles. Missile silos opened like mouths ready to roar. Then, with a single volley, it spoke. One barrage. That was all it took. Thousands of kinetic rounds shot forward at near light speed, tearing through the Xylari formation. Plasma lances erupted, cutting through their shields like paper. Half the enemy fleet vanished in a storm of fire and debris. The void was filled with wreckage. The screams of crews echoed across comms before cutting off into silence. Panic spread through the survivors. It destroyed half our fleet with one strike. This is not possible. Retreat! Retreat now! General Zirak bellowed for order, but fear had taken hold. Ships broke formation, fleeing in all directions. The Leviathan did not chase. It did not need to. It simply turned its massive hull toward the remaining fleet, silent and unyielding. The message came then, clear across every channel, spoken in calm human words. You wanted proof, the voice said. Here it is. Across the galaxy, billions heard that message. The council chamber fell into silence. No one mocked, no one laughed. Every delegate knew in that moment that the humans had not disappeared. They had been waiting. The Vayrine elder finally spoke, her voice soft and heavy. So the silence was not weakness, it was patience. Relthara felt a chill as she realized what it meant. The humans had not abandoned their legends. They had been building them. And now the galaxy had seen the truth. The Xylari fleet lay shattered. The Leviathan drifted silently, its weapons cooling, its hull untouched. It did not chase the fleeing survivors. It did not speak again. It simply remained there, a shadow in the void, watching. To the survivors. That silence was worse than any attack. It meant the humans did not fear them. It meant the Leviathan could destroy them at will, yet chose not to. And that terrified them more than death. Word of the battle spread like wildfire. Across the galaxy, citizens whispered the same words. The human warship is real. They called it Leviathan. The legends live. The Xylari fleet was broken. Ships drifted like wrecks among the stars, fires burning silently in the vacuum. Crews scrambled to repair systems, to escape, to survive. General Zirak's claws trembled as he tried to regain command. The Leviathan had not even pursued them. It had not needed to. Its presence alone had shattered the Empire's confidence. Yet Zirak refused to accept defeat. Form ranks, he bellowed. The humans may be legends, but they are still one ship. One ship cannot destroy an entire fleet. His officers exchanged uneasy glances. Some whispered of abandoning the fleet entirely, but none dared speak too loudly. Zirak's fury kept them frozen. Far from the battle, on Earth, the HSS Leviathan drifted in orbit beyond Pluto, its massive engines humming quietly. Human crews moved efficiently along endless corridors, checking systems and monitoring distant scanners. Commander Arlen Hayes stood on the observation deck, gazing at the stars. His voice was calm as he addressed his officers. They believed we were weak, he said. They thought we had vanished. Now they see the truth. Lieutenant Mara Jensen, a young officer in her first command, asked, Sir, will they come back? Hayes's face was unreadable. They will, but they will not win. Not against what we are ready to do. Back in the void, the remaining Xylari ships regrouped as best they could. Panic had left them disorganized. Crews argued over formations. Weapons officers shook as they recalculated firing vectors. The Leviathan, massive and silent, drifted closer. Its shadow stretched across space, blacker than Jupiter's storms. Then came the message. A calm, clear human voice echoed in every channel. You wanted proof. This is what humanity is capable of. Withdraw peacefully, or face complete annihilation. The Xylari officers froze. For a moment, not a single word could escape them. They had assumed humans were weak. They had mocked the old legends. And now, reality stared them in the face. General Zyrak slammed his claws onto the command console. Prepare all weapons, fire everything. The fleet opened fire with everything they had. Plasma cannons burned through space. Railguns fired missiles. At impossible speeds, gravity lances warped the stars. But the Leviathan shields absorbed it all. Layer after layer of energy bent the attacks back, dissipating them harmlessly. The humans had anticipated everything. Crew members on the Xylari ships whispered in disbelief. It doesn't even flinch. They said it was a legend. But this is real. No human ship should be this powerful. The Leviathan moved, slowly, majestically. Its weapon systems rotated, enormous cannons aligning like the arms of a giant ready to strike. From a distance, the remaining Xylari fleet looked like insects before a predator. The first strike came without warning. One massive kinetic round, fired from the Leviathan's main railgun, traveled across space, hitting the lead Xylari cruiser. The explosion lit up the void with fire and debris. The ship shattered, tearing apart in seconds. Then came the second, and the third. The remaining fleet tried to evade, but their formations were already broken. Each strike of the Leviathan was calculated, precise, and devastating. In less than an hour, half of the surviving fleet was destroyed. The Xylari crews screamed, shouted orders, and begged for retreat. But the Leviathan did not give them that option. Not yet. Its weapons remained ready. Its engines hummed quietly. It did not move in haste, it moved with purpose. Zyrak's claws shook as he realized the truth. They were waiting for us. This entire time. Yes, whispered a subordinate officer. They were never gone. They were hiding, preparing. The human ship's calm precision unnerved even the bravest Xylari. Entire squadrons vanished before they could fire a second volley. Nothing the aliens tried worked. Their ships were too small, too fragile, too predictable. The Leviathan anticipated everything. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, news of the battle spread faster than light. Ships from other systems monitored the conflict, their crews watching in awe. The council delegates, who had laughed at human legends just days before, now sat in stunned silence. They are real, muttered one Veyran elder. No fleet should survive such odds, whispered another. They are patient and deadly. Even the most skeptical races realized one thing. Humanity was not weak. Humanity had not vanished. Humanity had prepared. And humanity was now showing the galaxy the true meaning of power. Back in the battle, the Xylari attempted one last desperate maneuver. The remaining ships tried to regroup behind Jupiter, hoping the planet's gravity would shield them from the Leviathan's weapons. It did not work. The Leviathan's targeting systems calculated the planet's pull, accounting for each orbit, each trajectory. Its weapons fired again, ships exploded like firecrackers in the void. Survivors fled, scattering into the darkness, but they knew deep down that escape was impossible. A single human voice came over the comms, calm and unwavering. Leave our system, return to your empire, tell them the legends were true. Tell them humanity waits. Tell them this was your first warning. The Xylari fled. Some ships made it past Mars. Some barely survived the asteroid belts. But every pilot knew the truth. The humans could destroy their fleets at will. The Leviathan did not chase. It did not need to. Its presence alone was enough to claim victory. In the council chamber, delegates whispered among themselves. None of them had expected this. None of them had imagined a single human warship could render an entire empire powerless. Relthara watched in awe, her mind racing. She had believed the legends might contain a seed of truth. But this was beyond belief. Humanity had turned myth into reality. On Earth, the Leviathan drifted silently beyond Pluto. Human crews repaired minor systems, checked weapon calibrations, and monitored distant readings. Commander Hayes walked the corridors, watching screens that showed fleeing Xylari ships. Do you think they will return? Lieutenant Jensen asked again. Hayes shook his head. Perhaps. But if they do, we will be ready. Humanity has waited a long time. We have built this for one reason: to show the galaxy that we will not be underestimated. The Leviathan's shadow stretched across the void, silent, massive, unyielding. It was no longer a legend. It was proof. And the galaxy knew it. By the end of the day, the survivors of the Xylari fleet reported back to their empire. Their words were simple: humans are not to be trifled with. The legends were real. And we pray we never face them again. The message traveled across star lanes, through fleets and empires, reaching every corner of the galaxy. Humanity's secret had been revealed. Its patience had paid off. Its power was now undeniable. And still, the Leviathan did not move beyond the outer system. It waited. It observed. It reminded the galaxy that humans were patient, precise, and unstoppable when provoked. In the silence that followed, one thing was clear to all who saw it. The legends had lived for a reason. They were not stories to amuse children or frighten fools. They were warnings. The galaxy was no longer the same. The Xylari Empire's fleet had been shattered, humiliated in a single encounter with a human warship. News traveled faster than light, reaching distant systems and council chambers alike. What had once been whispered as myth was now undeniable reality. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not gone. Humanity was waiting. On Earth, celebrations were muted but proud. Commander Arlen Hayes stood on the observation deck of the HSS Leviathan, watching the reports from the outer system. The data screens showed damaged Xylari ships retreating, their fleets scattered across the void. Lieutenant Mara Jensen approached him, her voice quiet but excited. Sir, they're telling the galaxy our message. Everyone knows now. Hayes nodded. Yes, and that is exactly how it should be. We are not here to fight endlessly. We are here to remind them that humans cannot be underestimated. The Leviathan drifted silently beyond Pluto, its engines glowing faintly, casting shadows that stretched across the frozen planet. It had done its work. The galaxy had seen it. The galaxy now understood it. Across the council station, delegates gathered in confusion, shock, and awe. The laughter that had once greeted stories of human warships was gone. Not a single voice dared mock the legends again. The Varen elder, her pale blue eyes still glowing faintly, addressed the chamber. It seems we have been foolish. We treated these stories as fairy tales, but now we have seen the truth. The humans were patient, the humans were prepared, and the humans were never weak. Other delegates whispered among themselves. Some hid their fear behind pride, but the unease was clear. Even the oldest empires realized that humanity had shifted the balance of power in the galaxy. Relthara, standing quietly in the corner, as she had during the first part of the council meeting, felt a mixture of awe and fear. She had believed the legends might hold some truth, but this was beyond imagination. The humans had been building their strength in secret for centuries, and now, finally, the galaxy had witnessed it. In the aftermath of the battle, surviving Xylari commanders attempted to regroup. They sent messages to their emperor, words filled with desperation. We were defeated by one ship. They were not weak. The legends, they were real. Their emperor's roar of fury did not help. The shame of losing to a single human warship had spread across the empire. Soldiers and officers alike questioned their leadership. Entire fleets muttered about the impossibility of facing humanity again. And the humans did not chase them. The Leviathan did not move beyond the outer system. It did not need to. Humanity's message had been sent loud and clear. Underestimate. Humans at your own peril. Other races who had doubted the legends now scrambled to gather intelligence. Traders, mercenaries, and even diplomats sought to understand the humans' capabilities. Reports arrived from the farthest colonies. Human warship seen in Sol system. Entire Xylari fleet destroyed or scattered. The Leviathan is real. Fear spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Stories once treated as myths became undeniable fact. Everyone now whispered the same words. The humans are patient. The humans are deadly. The humans are here. Back on Earth, humanity prepared, quietly. Engineers worked on other massive warships, hidden deep inside moons and asteroids. Fleets that could rival entire empires were under construction. Commander Hayes walked along the corridors of the Leviathan, observing crews moving with precise efficiency. They will come again, Lieutenant Jensen said quietly. Others will try to challenge us. Hayes nodded. Yes. But when they do, we will be ready. We do not need to conquer the galaxy. We only need to ensure that no one can conquer us. Patience, preparation, precision, that is humanity's strength. The Leviathan's shadow stretched across the frozen outer planets. Silent, immense, and unyielding, it served as both shield and warning. Humanity had shown its power, but more importantly, it had shown restraint. It waited, patient as ever, letting the galaxy understand a simple truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. The Xylari survivors, now scattered and trembling, returned to their home system. They brought stories of the Leviathan, of its unstoppable power, of the precise and deadly way it had destroyed their fleet. Their words carried fear, respect, and disbelief. It cannot be fought with conventional weapons, one commander whispered to another. They anticipated everything, another said. Legends are truth. A third admitted quietly. Across the galaxy, every empire heard these words. Councils debated, fleets reorganized, intelligence divisions scrambled to understand humanity's secrets. Every species realized that the humans had shifted the balance of power. The galaxy was no longer safe to assume that any empire could dominate. Meanwhile, the Leviathan remained in orbit beyond Pluto. It did not fire another shot. It did not chase the fleeing fleets. Its mission was complete. Humanity's first demonstration of power had sent the message it intended. The galaxy must respect humans, or face consequences far worse than simple defeat. On the observation deck, Commander Hayes stood quietly, watching the retreating Xylari. Lieutenant Jensen joined him. Do you think they understand now? She asked. Hayes smiled faintly. Yes, they understand. And now the galaxy will think twice before mocking humans again. Legends are not born from lies. They are born from truths that demand attention. The Council, which had once mocked the human myths, now issued statements of caution. No race would act against humanity lightly. Some sent envoys to Earth to apologize or offer peace. Others strengthened their defenses quietly, fearing the day humanity might act again. The galaxy's perception of humans had changed forever. Once dismissed as weak and primitive, humans were now feared, respected, and observed closely. The age of complacency was over. And yet humanity had done nothing more than defend itself. The Leviathan, the human fleet, and the stories of planet-sized warships had accomplished what generations of diplomacy, trade, or propaganda could not. The legends were real, the humans were real, and the galaxy would never forget it. As night fell on Earth, stars twinkled above, reflecting on oceans and cities alike. Humanity had waited centuries for this moment. They had hidden, prepared, and now revealed themselves. In a way the galaxy could never ignore. Commander Hayes stood alone on the observation deck, looking at the stars, calm and quiet. He whispered to himself, more to the universe than anyone else. They mocked us. They laughed. They thought we were weak, but now they know, and they will never forget it. The Leviathan drifted silently beyond Pluto, a shadow across the frozen outer planets, patient as ever, watching the galaxy learn a lesson it would never forget. Legends were never just stories. They were warnings, and humanity had just proven why.